Hello and welcome to QUIZZY Monday. And what a brilliant Monday's quizzing it was yet again. Now, I have to start with an apology. I think I got Anna's surname wrong in that starting sequence. So Anna Brian, I think it's just a Freudian slip when you come on. I hope you'll forgive me. But yes, so we have some great guests on tonight. We have got Rachael Neiman, who, sorry, I'm getting names wrong, all wrong. I'll get my own name wrong. Rachael Neiman-Wiseman, who won Mastermind tonight. We've got Steve Barnes, who was on the winning Ramblers team on Only Connect. And we've got Sam Woodcock and Anna Brian from Bristol University. We just saw on University Challenge. We'll bring them on very shortly. Firstly, I just want to say, if you were at the online quiz league buzzer quiz event of the weekend and I met you, it was brilliant to meet you. I met so many people. It was fantastic. If you saw me and we didn't get a chance to say hello, then I apologize. There was just too many people around and it was just a brilliant event, but really, really busy. So I hope to get to see you again. But we got loads of lovely comments about all things quiz. So that was absolutely tremendous. I'm going to bring on our guests and we'll get cracking. So I'm going to bring on Rachael and Steve and Sam and Anna. Hello, all.
Hi.
Hello. Good evening.
Hello.
So, yeah, Anna, apologies.
Don't worry about it.
I can't. Yeah, I know. But I had it written down on paper correctly. Just when I went to type it, it was wrong. There you go. I'll next time I'll get it right. Sorry about that. Rachael, congratulations on your Mastermind win.
Oh, thank you.
We will get on to Mastermind very shortly, but Steve, congratulations on a thumping win for the Ramblers in Only Connect. After your troubles in the first round, you must have thought this was Christmas.
Yeah, it was. Just a great performance from all the team. It was pretty crazy. Questions suited us, and you saw how it played out.
Indeed. And Anna and Sam, we will of course get into your University Challenge match in time. But at one point, it looked like it was going very, very badly, and then you managed to pull it back. Watching it, sorry.
And then it was going well for 1 second.
It was that moment when you were ahead. You must have been praying for the gong to go. And we have had a comment here from Gerard saying lots of people on Twitter giving you a lot of love for not taking too much time over that set of bonuses. Good sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Would you rather be considered great sports or winners?
Great sports, to be
Yeah, I
honest.
think that's
Yeah.
To be fair, I mean, I don't think we're being particularly ethical. I think we're just like wanting to get through it as quickly as possible and get as many points as possible. So,
Yeah.
we'll pretend we had good motives, but yeah.
Maybe we didn't
I was
discuss
slightly
it, but I
panicked.
thought
I
we
didn't know about
discussed
you,
it in
Sam.
the Greek place afterwards, Sam. Oh yeah, but we were better sports for it. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, you've got a lot of love and kudos from that. So, it was a great match, and you really fought back well. There were some great buzzes late on, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But let's start off. Rachel, there was a bit of commentary on Twitter that this is not your first time on Mastermind. How many times have you been on before?
Certainly not. So this will be my fourth go.
Fourth go, and I know you've reached the this isn't the first time you reached the semi-final. How many times have you done that?
Well, 4 times now.
So
I just keep stalling at the. Yeah.
I know how that feels, Rachel. I stalled at the semi 3 times, so I feel your pain. Why Kate Bush?
I mean, I've loved Kate Bush since I was a little kid. I've got brothers and sisters who were pretty much grown up when I was born, so there were loads of Kate Bush records around the house. They each had their own copies, so, and when they moved out, they left them all behind. So I had several copies of Hounds of Love and the Dream. I loved it as a kid. I think also by this stage we're sort of running out of specialist subject ideas.
There is always that challenge, isn't there? Particularly
Also,
if you get some rejected.
And they keep turning down most of my music suggestions because apparently I keep wanting to do my favourite band, Bear Suit, but apparently they're not really famous enough yet.
I mean, I would like to argue with them there, but I have to say, I mean, I know my contemporary music is not brilliant, but yeah, perhaps they need a hit or more.
They're not exactly a household name, but you know.
But Kate Bush went really well. You got 11 points, and after the first couple of the 2 previous people who pushed the score to 11, were you starting to feel okay? I'm really in a competition here. Or being such an old hand, were you just thinking, no, I'll just do my thing?
Oh no, it's always scary, especially because they both got nearly all their questions right, so there really wasn't much room for, and they're all really good contestants. There's never any room for complacency. And obviously I only managed to equal, to get to 11. I was glad to get that far because I got a couple wrong. Not neither of which I'm actually kicking myself over. Like sometimes questions you didn't get haunt you. But the 2 I didn't get on Kate Bush have not been haunting me. They were just ones that I didn't really know. So that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic performance. Sorry, Anna.
I just said that's quizzing. Yeah,
it is. It is. It was a fantastic performance. 3 of you tied at 11. I mean, you've been on, as we said, 4 times. How, for you, has the Clive Myrie experience and the Hat Trick Productions experience differed from your previous appearances? Was it noticeably different for you, or was it kind of much the same?
It's really hard to judge, I think, because obviously the spectre of COVID was very much hanging over the filming, so it's hard to tell. Obviously, it was very different, but I think mostly it was because of COVID. Because the way filming was managed had to be completely rearranged because of COVID. We all had to have our own dressing room, so there was no sort of hanging out in the green room beforehand or after with the other contestants, which I imagine will be the case when everything is back to normal, whatever that is. But I mean, the production team were lovely. They couldn't have been nicer, and they really looked after us. The setup and everything felt the same. It was just the before and after, and the way the briefing and everything was done. But the actual show itself, the actual filming, didn't feel particularly different. I mean, they'd even brought the chair's been brought from Salford, so that's the same. And I think most of the
It felt very familiar.
Yes, they
I-
kept everything the same. It was just, as I say, I think it's kind of hard to judge at the moment because they've had to make so many changes due to COVID. So.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before, I guess. I don't think Steve, we haven't had you on, I don't think. But in terms of the fraternization with other teams, what was it like on the other shows? Did you get a chance to chat to them, socialize with them, or was it really kind of you're cloistered away from each other?
So with Only Connect, we did get the chance to socialize. So the way that the green room was set out was that we had these 3 tables. So each one member of a team was at a table. Then you had another row of 3 tables where your opponents would be sat behind you, and then so on and so forth. So there were 12 tables. So it's kind of almost like an examination. It feels like you're all sat there away from each other, not being able to be very close, but we were talking to each other across the room. It was all COVID safe and everything, but we did have that opportunity in our first game. It was somebody's birthday. They brought along a birthday cake. We all shared birthday cake. It was very, very pleasant. So there was still that element there. Obviously I can't compare it to what it would have been like before, but yeah.
And with University Challenge, we've heard from teams that some of the teams have never even met each other, let alone meeting other teams when they turned up. We had that last week. But Anna and Sam, when you came back to film this, which would have been a different filming block, had things changed? Was it a little bit more or less restricted?
I think it was pretty much the same. Yeah.
It was just the same filming process. I think after the fact, everyone felt a little safer going out to a restaurant. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Otherwise, it was just filming-wise, same, identical, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, back to Mastermind, Rachel. So we've got a question here from Catherine saying, "Do you have a favourite Kate Bush tune? And can I dedicate it to the listeners of the hospital radio station I volunteer for?" So here's your chance to pick a Kate Bush tune for Catherine to play.
Gosh, oh dear, I don't even. It's going to be something probably something off the Dreaming. That's the best Kate Bush album. Well, I think it's the best Kate Bush album. But I have to think of. I don't want to something that's not going to be too. Something a bit more cheerful, I imagine, for hospital radio. Maybe.
Don't give up. Maybe.
Want to inflict any Peter Gabriel? No, not a big Peter Gabriel. Or maybe. What about Suspended in Gaffer? That's a nice one.
Yeah, dedicated to everybody in Traction in A&E. This is Suspended in Gaffer. Okay.
It's quite jolly. It's probably not my absolute favourite, but it's probably the most suitable one off the Dreaming to play for hospital patients.
Okay.
Houdini's an incredible track, but it's probably a bit depressing if you're stuck in a hospital.
Well, there you go, Catherine. You got your answer. Michael is saying "Them Heavy People." That's his suggestion.
You see, controversially, I'm not a big fan of the Kicking. It's fine.
Ooh.
First 2 albums are fine. I mean, no one really likes Lionheart, but just the worst things are Lionheart. I have to say. I'm just not a big. I'm not a big fan of the first 2 albums. There's some amazing songs on both albums, but they're a bit 70s. It's all about the 80s albums for me.
I mean, Kate, if you're watching, we love them all, obviously. She's not going to be watching, let's face it. Let's not flatter ourselves. But for me, it's Never Forever. That was the first album I had and listened to obsessively.
It's an incredible. I have to say, I think Dreaming first, Hounds of Love, and then Never Forever. But they're all really, really close. Those 3. They're 3 pretty much perfect albums, I think. Indeed.
Catherine's saying she once had a nonagenarian request Highway to Hell. There's confidence for you. So anyway, halfway, 3 of you tied on 11. What were your feeling? Because they film it pretty much straight through, don't they? So you're sat there.
Yeah.
So you're sat there. Sometimes there's a little bit of the warm-up man doing jokes or whatever, but you're sat there now taking stock of your opposition. did you fancy your chances at that point?
Not really. I mean, with because we were all on 11, and because the other the other contestants were a really good team. No, I definitely didn't feel confident. Even when I finished my round, until Clive gave me the score, I didn't think I'd done it. I don't know. I think sometimes nerves can hit you when you get in the chair. Other times, just everything else goes out your head, and you can just focus on the questions. I think I was in that place, so that's probably a good thing. I didn't really have a great deal of time to worry too much.
Yeah, we
that's
saw.
not always the case.
we saw Anna, particularly not our Anna, the other Anna, who was on Mastermind. She had a struggle in the middle where she was passing and got a couple wrong and some more passes, etc. If you've been in that chair, you know that sometimes your brain can get into a really funny place.
Absolutely, especially if you're kicking yourself over the previous question, you don't listen to the next one. Probably it's so easy to get into that spiral once because you're still brooding on the previous question, and you don't really give your full attention to the next one. It's so easy to happen, I think.
Yeah, is that something that happens on University Challenge and other quizzes that if you get something wrong, that it's still hanging around in your head whilst the next question's being asked, or do you try and clear that out?
I don't know. Oh no, I'm speaking now. For me, I tend to just clear it out, focus, and then be full of regret after the fact. But
I think for me, what's more true is to use like quiz bowl terms, like get your negs out of the way like early on, because that it's just like sort of being a bit more confident in the buzzer. But I can understand with something like Mastermind or OQL where it's like all the focus is on you, then it's kind of a different story psychologically. But yeah.
And Steve, you've on OnlyConnect, you're not only trying to kind of fish answers, you're trying to think laterally, you're trying to solve puzzles and whatever. Do you get a feeling at times like your first game when you got 1 point after 2 rounds, were you just thinking, what's going on? My brain's not in the zone.
I mean, a little bit. I mean, but it was partly just you see the answer, you think, well, there's no way I would have got that. It wouldn't have mattered if you gave me 40 seconds or 40 years. I still wouldn't have, we still wouldn't have got the answers between us. There are other times where you get perilously close and you just get very frustrated. But I think with OnlyConnect, you get a bit of time to kind of set it aside. I mean, I definitely found from back when I was on University Challenge and where I've done buzzer quizzes in the past, sometimes you'll get something wrong that you think you should have got right. And it's just like, oh no. And then you do dwell on it a little bit before you can kind of reset yourself and think, right, that's a skill I think quizzes have to develop quite soon.
Indeed. I mean, having played a buzzer quiz at the weekend for the first time, I've done a bit QB League, but those buzzer events where they go on all day, for me, the mental tiredness of trying to be sharp as kind of the day progresses and you're just getting more and more tired, but you still need to try and be anticipating. I found that very hard, and I found with TV, the TV filming day can be very long and it can be tiring. I don't know how you manage to kind of keep that sharpness. Have any of you got any little tricks?
Lots of water.
Coffee.
I think.
Yeah.
Water.
I avoid coffee. It makes me too stressed. But water. Just making sure because sometimes I call it a quiz bowl headache. You sit there for a whole day or whatever, and you get a bad headache.
Yeah, I mean, for like something like University Challenge, like coffee before, that's fine. But like quiz bowl, just stay hydrated.
All of it. Just
get some vitamins as well. There you go.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of quizzes who don't necessarily follow that sort of healthy regime. Harry Heath is just saying, always caffeine. I have to say that a lot of my performances improved after drinking water rather than Coke. Coke would kind of put me off equilibrium. But Rachel, you've been on Mastermind, you've been on OnlyConnect, and you've been on University Challenge.
Yes, a long time.
But so you kind of played all 3 of those formats. Which one of those kind of is best suited to you, do you think?
You see, the University Challenge was the first quiz I ever did. So we had a soft spot in my heart. And I think I do quite like the buzzer element, and I've not really been involved in enough TV buzzer quizzes or buzzer quiz tournaments because they're a bit long for me. But I like the buzzer quiz element because you get a chance on every question, and I think that sometimes plays better. Whereas in any quiz where you're being given a random set of questions, you can only answer yours. That always leaves you with question envy, but it's for everyone. But I they're kind of a bit more egalitarian, I suppose. Buzzer quizzes. I'm not super fast on the buzzer or anything, but it gives you. So I think, I hugely enjoyed University Challenge. It was great fun being on there, and also really nice to be on a team quiz because takes a bit of the stress off you. You're not completely on your own. And I enjoy doing OQL for the same reason. It's because my team are all much better. They know about serious stuff. I only know about rubbish. You see, and the pop music and assorted rubbish correspondent.
Oh, there's a lot to say about for knowing a lot of rubbish. I've got quite a few points in various quizzes for knowing utter rubbish.
There's no shame, only points.
The rest of my team know, serious. They know proper things like history and science and geography, but they don't know some minor one-hit wonder from 1980. So we each have our.
Quiz ball ages ago, and everyone's like, yeah, you've got the history and the geography, but I know Luigi's moves in Smash Bros. So I'm getting those 15 points.
Mine wasn't first lining RuPaul's Drag Race. That was my proudest quiz ball moment. There you go.
Yes, well, exactly. We it's good to have those moments. But the question envy comments really interesting because in both of your games, Only Connect and University Challenge, you have that thing where, like on Only Connect, the other team will pick a category, and you might just sit there thinking, I could have got that for 5, or I could have got that for 3, and you got that envy. And then University Challenge, somebody beats you on the buzzer, and then a bonus set comes up that you think, oh dear God! I mean, it's hard to stop it getting to you at times, isn't it? And I guess particularly if your team's struggling, you can get a narrative that everything is against you. How do you deal with that? Do you try and how do you park that sort of feeling? Steve, go on, put you on the spot.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because I remember. So that first question of our game against the Godin family was the Assassin's Creed question. And I looked at the first clue and I thought, well, it's ancient Greece and Odyssey. It could be anything, but it may well be Assassin's Creed. And then the second clue came up and I thought, yeah, there we go. If this was ours, I would have buzzed there. Now, obviously, in hindsight, knowing how the rest of the game went, I wasn't too bitterly disappointed about, missing out on that. But it was kind of after the game we'd had against the Data Wizards, it was kind of like, is this deja vu? Are we just going to... Because I felt, there were a few things in round one in that game where we felt, that if we'd got them, we could have got them earlier and it would have been very nice. And then the ones we ended up with, we didn't know, but they did. And we're thinking, oh no, this is going to go the same way. It's going to be a nightmare. But yeah, I think you just kind of have to try and forget about it, because if you dwell on it, then you've got that 40-second window to answer the next question. If you're thinking about anything else, it's seconds that are being wasted. You can see that timer ticking down. So yeah.
And for University Challenge, when you're seeing the other team get a set of bonuses that would have suited you down to the ground, how does that feel?
Annoyed about the ducks.
I was annoyed about the Shakespeare. I think. Yeah, I think you just think, well, I don't know. I'm sort of just thinking about this retrospectively.
Mentally played it like, just play it like a practice round in the middle of this game fair. To calm down.
It's also like, well, they're obviously not perfect quizzes. I knew that they didn't, so we're carrying on. Let's go. So yeah, you just have to be a bit more optimistic, I guess.
So wrapping up Mastermind. Rachel, you won, and you know, in the end with a nice little margin of victory. Were there any kind of questions that you're particularly pleased about getting? And for the rest of the panel, whilst Rachel's answering, any questions that you might have noticed that you particularly liked or stood out, or any talking points? So Rachel, how about your experience?
I think the ones I got in my specialist subject were ones I was kind of prepared for, I suppose. I mean, you know, I was happy to. I'm trying to think if there was. Oh, there was. I was glad that I dredged up. The only one that I had to really reach for was the where the alternative Wuthering Heights video was because I literally only read that a couple of days before. And I hadn't even really bothered to. I thought, oh, that's not going to come up. So I'd sort of read it, but I hadn't properly committed it to memory. I was really glad that it had held on somewhere in my mind. So I was pretty pleased with. I was pretty pleased with that. I also, although I got very annoyed in my specialist in my general knowledge question with getting the Mandalorian wrong.
Oh, I was feeling for you there. You were clearly figuring it out.
Close,
yeah. The DeLorean is just, yeah. Ooh, I mean, that's Back to the Future, but you know that was.
But I just the minute I said it, I thought, oh no, there's something in front of that. This Mandalorian.
Yeah, but that can happen.
My friends.
That's the brain fart, isn't it? That's where your brain is kind of getting there, and your mouth opens before it's finished processing. It just.
I mean, to be fair, I don't really watch any TV that isn't quiz. I've not seen it, but I have got a friend who's been obsessed with Baby Yoda for the last year, so therefore I'm aware of its existence.
Okay, the rest of you, assuming you caught it. If you didn't, no worries. But anything that stood out for you from Mastermind for tonight?
I really like the specialist subjects this time round. I mean, butterflies didn't particularly suit me, but you know, I like the Cornetto trilogy. I was really into Tutankhamun as a child, so that was a nice trip down memory lane. And I'm a massive Kate Bush fan, although I discovered today that I knew much less about her than I thought I did. So there you
go. Sam, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, again, a good specialist subject, if only for making me realise that I know nothing about them. Like, the Colosseum, I've watched all of them, much of it now. Butterfly, a few butterflies, no. Well, with Skipper, only what I got. Do you know? I know a bit about it. No, I don't. No, I don't. I know that he was Tutankhamun, but that's it. No, I don't. I don't know anything.
That's how it should be, though. It should be a test of the contestants.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And Steve, how about you?
Yeah, no, I think I agree with what's been said already. I mean, this is the thing. Whenever anyone chooses a kind of film series, I'm always interested just the kind of how niche the things you have to pick up on to get those, you know, like the names of pubs and hotels and what date things happened on. I mean, I watch films every now and again, but I'm lucky if I remember who was in it, let alone all of those details.
I don't know anything about the Cornetto trilogy, but they seemed really niche to me, were they? They seemed like really hard questions.
Yeah.
I think when you're doing 3 films, and that's all it was, they have to go for a lot of minor points because otherwise, you know, the dialogue is quite surface level. So I think they had to really kind of go into some quite detail. I quite like. I thought they did a really good job of making that as testing, as challenging as the other subjects. Which is, you know, for 3 films, it's not. I wouldn't say it's a guaranteed thing that it would be like that. So, great work. Let's move on to Only Connect, Steve. You know, we've kind of touched on a lot, but you know, in your dreams, would that have gone any better?
No, I mean, it was just, as you say, I mean, coming off the game we just had where we had 1 point going into a wall, you know, I mean, there's only one thing that could be worse than that. So we just thought, we'll just see how it goes. We'll just have fun with it. You know, it could well be our last game. And a lot of luck went our way. and we just happen to know the answers, and that's what can happen when you know the answers on Only Connect. So yeah, no, it couldn't have gone any better. I mean, I wouldn't. There's nothing I'd change. As I said, I said earlier about the Assassin's Creed question, but in hindsight, it just it was a set of questions that suited us. I mean, even such subtle things as there was that question on the sequence of consorts of kings named George.
Yeah.
We had literally discussed that morning as a team. I don't know why, I can't remember why we were talking about it, but it came up, and then we saw Charlotte Mecklenburg-Strelitz at the first clue and thought, well, okay, we're probably going through George's, but we better take another one just in case it's something else.
Yeah.
So we figured that because the Roman numerals in there, it was George's rather than successive monarchs. So yeah, as you say, it was kind of the perfect game. I mean, I feel really terrible for our opponents because they're so lovely, and when they're not getting things, or they're almost there and then it gets passed over, and part of you doesn't want to take it, but there's still that competitive nature where you're like, yeah. So, but no, I mean, they're a lovely team, as I said, and it was a great fun game to be part of.
I did love the comment on theirs on that first question, the Assassin's Creed one of is it Joanna Lumley series? I thought that's just such a beautiful wrong answer. I'd love to have seen those. What impressed me though, the next one, which was the music one, was your guess just based on for release. I mean,
that's how I play music rounds at home.
Well, that's it. We knew One Piece. That's what happened in our previous game as well. We knew one, and we took it. I mean, we knew Girls on Film, took a punt on film, happened to be right. Knew for release, thought it was unlikely to be anything to do with the words Ludwig van or Beethoven. We thought maybe modes of transport at one point, but
It's tremendous. It's just you kind of got to gamble, haven't you? And you've got to look,
you've got to have a
which
guess.
part is it? It's the dedication, or is it the name? You've still got to make that guess and have that clarity of thought in the moment. And that was great. We got Michael's made a comment. Assassin's Creed for 5. Michael's very good at lowbrow. I was on my team this weekend. Although that made it more annoying that I didn't take the risk of going for Assassin's Creed on the first clue at the OQL buzzer quiz. Yeah, you and me both, Michael. We were both sat there thinking it.
I was scoring during that. I was very frustrated. There we go.
I mean, the other one I really liked from that first round was the Christopher Lloyd, Dolly Parton, Leonard Cohen, Enoch Powell, Brian May, Amy Winehouse, Ronaldo Orlando. I like that because partly because I spotted it, which was not that many of them tonight. But yes, I particularly like that. That was a nice little kind of anagrammy one. Any questions, round one questions that appeal to any of you guys?
Well, the pastries round one. The pastries were around. I loved the pastries. The fun one.
I like that one. Yeah.
That came to me quite late. The crescent and lightning. I knew croissant and eclair. Little ovens. I didn't know that was. I didn't know petit four was little ovens. So I've learned something, and I've never heard of the financier.
Niall whispered that one in my ear.
And the W's was nice.
Nice question. Only got it on Cassiopeia.
Yeah, I was going to say in hindsight, I knew Cassiopeia was W-shaped. I don't really know why we thought, let's go for that, because we didn't know anything about the other two clues, really.
The only thing about Cassiopeia, isn't it?
Yeah.
The star.
I guess so.
Thing.
Rachel,
were you able to follow Only Connect tonight?
Yeah, I always watch it with my husband, and he reads the stuff out to me. He's very, very good at Only Connect. So I keep telling him he should get a team together. But he got loads of questions tonight. he got the W's from the palm trees in
It's the mad world.
Well, yeah. And the anagram was I mean he reads the luckily he's quite good at recognizing pictures, which is handy because of the all I remember from our Only Connect I'll go at Only Connect was that I really had to rely on my team to try and describe
Mm.
the pictures. And if it's just a picture of someone you don't recognise, there's not a
Me
lot
too.
of describing you can do it. It's a guy or it's a woman. Yeah, not particularly.
Yeah.
But it was great. It was a great show tonight. There's some really clever. I thought there was some really clever sequences tonight as well.
I'm interested with something like Only Connect, where clues appear on screen. How did they kind of adjust things for you to be able to participate on a level playing field in that?
I mean, Only Connect, I think, has been the most challenging in terms of all of the quizzes I've been on, in terms of making it accessible, just because of the sheer format of it. It was easy enough with, obviously, Mastermind's not a problem. University Challenge is fine. They could change the picture rounds to words. But there's just so much of the formatting of Only Connect that's really hard to format. So they gave us Braille for the walls. And yeah, just my two teammates described pictures and things. It was the Missing Vowels round that was an absolute nightmare to make accessible. I don't think we ever really hit on a perfect solution to it, but the production team tried so hard. It's just so it's the format of the show. It's really hard to change it for.
Yeah, very difficult. It's interesting that the ways they will try to get around it. I mean, as you say, Braille on a wall. That's pretty good. Pictures are going to be difficult. But yeah, Missing Vowels. I mean, I hadn't really thought about that because I know there are some sort of Braille things that can kind of come up in real time. I don't know if that sort of thing would have worked on that.
Yeah, the problem is I'm not. I mean, I suppose I'm a little bit rusty. I can read Braille, but probably not as quick as print readers. Also, because you read Braille cell at a time, it's hard to. When you're looking at the Missing Vowels, I think you can see patterns, and even though the spaces are wrong, you can sort of spot letters ahead and kind of. You're not having to read every letter before you buzz in to have a go at Missing Vowels.
True. Yeah, interesting. Round two. Some nice, some as you say, some fairly kind of general knowledge-y ones in there, Steve. The Georges, the UK surnames ones as well. You hit on that quite quickly.
Yeah, I think that's just. I remember doing a quiz on the website sporkle.com many years ago.
Oh, goodness gracious!
Back in 2010, 11, when I was at school, doing one of the most common surnames in the UK. And I remembered that it was Smith, Jones, Brown, Williams, and Brown at the top. I think Johnson Smith or something. And so, knowing who those two people were, it helped that they were. Normally, I don't recognise people. I mean, as you saw with Christopher Lloyd and Leonard Cohen earlier on, I just not very good at recognising people. So it was lucky that they were quite well-known figures in the UK. So happy.
But there's another factor with Only Connect, isn't there? That the screen you're looking at is quite a way away across the
miles away.
The studio. So
could have done with some binoculars.
so it can be really difficult, particularly when there's a group of people. With University Challenge, have you got little monitors in your desk? Yeah, so you've got a little bit more kind of close visibility.
Well, I think it used to be that you shared one between two, and because of COVID, it's now one each.
Yes.
It was one between two before.
Yeah, that would have definitely been preferable because I found myself squinting across the studio on Only Connect, particularly when they start off big and then they shrink it down.
After those 2 seconds, oh no, can't say it anymore. Gonna have to take the next one.
Your team did really, really well again on this round. Any favourite sequences for you, Steve?
In that round, I think Lorna spotting the days and the months and the number in the middle was very good. Yeah,
I was amazed at that
one.
Yeah.
I was nowhere near it.
Something to do with the ordering of the months.
Yeah. So that was pretty good. Trying to think. Oh, and the music sequence. I love a music sequence, and I did, as I said during the episode, I made a promise to my team.
Yes.
I said to them like a few weeks before, I was like, if there's a music sequence to stop everyone from having to sing, I will give the answer. Hopefully it'll be right. Otherwise, I look like a massive idiot doing it. But I will do that. And I was expecting, well, I because I went to them, I thought, oh, they're probably going to get it, so I'm safe. And then they didn't. I thought, oh no. I was going to have to preface this with me making a promise because I don't want to just seem really arrogant by singing a song, and hoping it's right. But yeah, no, I really enjoy the music questions on Anything. I know there's a kind of there's that kind of jokey, oh no, not the music question, but I've always enjoyed them. But they are hard, but I do like them. So that was fun.
So that promise, was that why you picked a U2 song where you only knew one line?
I mean, generally, I just don't know many songs by U2, and I was not familiar with the pop career of Uthan. So, it had to be that.
The rock and roll secretary general, yes.
Indeed, as he was well known as, yeah.
Oh my word, that would be something, wouldn't it? If they bring up some undiscovered recordings, yeah, him and Trigvili in duetting. Any other sequences, Rachel, Anna, Sam, that you particularly liked out of that lot?
I always like the music ones too, unless they're classical, because I can't do classical at all. If it's not a 3-minute pop song, then I can't do it.
I was both annoyed and overjoyed at Bagpuss.
Yes.
Oh god, Bagpuss! I was just screaming Bagpuss. Yeah.
I've watched
I
Bagpuss
haven't
in the
watched
past,
Bagpuss since I was a kid. How am I meant to remember?
yeah.
I think it's just like so ingrained into my head. It's just how
The only thing
The
I
mouse
remember
organ
about
in
Bagpuss
particular,
is
just-
Professor
yeah.
Yaffle.
But yeah. I think they've probably done the descriptions of the other toys, but yeah, that was one of those which was annoying because it was like, I know it's in there, I know that one, but I just couldn't fish it out. Walls, you both did really well, both teams. I was really impressed. I didn't know caffeine was a streaming service.
Nor did we. Just fell in there at
Not
the
the
end.
other three, it was just that last one.
Yeah.
And that blinding revelation when you got Corn,
Yeah.
whoever it was realised that was just wonderful.
It was thinking about Capri or Capri.
Yeah.
What can come before or follow that? Because it was clearly a word thing. And yeah, from the others, there are so many other things that can follow or precede: uni, pop, and whatever the other one, sweet.
Yeah.
But Capri, not many. So yeah, it was kind of.
Capri,
It's weird how you stumble
Capri
across them.
Sun and couldn't get it out of my head.
Yeah, that's it. We had that in our head for a long time. Yeah.
We could get past Capri Sun.
Yeah.
And I've never understood why it's called Capri Sun. It's clearly Capri, and yet the advert is Capri Sun. I don't know, but then it's Capricorn, so maybe they're right. I don't know. That's bugged me for years. When the first time you saw the other team's wall was tonight, what did you make of that, Steve?
Yeah, so I thought it was okay. I was watching it with a couple of my colleagues at home, and yeah, pretty much got them in the same order that they did. I think we would have been all right with them. Spotted all of the connections. Took a while to get the sub one, but got there in the end. So yeah, no, it was they were a good pair of walls. They were well matched in terms of their difficulty, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And then we're on to the vowels, and we had 3-ish sets of vowels. Gerard will be watching. Will be quite happy that Gold was in there.
Who can forget that legendary performance? His
legendary singing. Yeah, disappointed you didn't sing that one, Steve.
That was a lot. Lorna buzzed in on that one.
But yeah, you just extended your lead in those vowels. It was a very strong performance.
I mean, there's some way it's that classic. You can kind of, when you see a category, you can kind of anticipate some. So things that follow gold, you're fairly sure silver's going to come up. I was fairly sure mercury was going to come up. I don't know all of the periodic table, but I know bits. I'm a science teacher, so you know, need to know a few bits. But yeah, I did not see the always believe in your soul when Lorna got that. I was just like, wow, how did you see that so fast? That was incredible.
That was fun.
So yeah, but then the second bit was on classical. It was on classical music, wasn't it? It was on
Opera.
operas and soprano
They
parts.
did have the little Tosca and Tosca.
Yeah,
Tristan and Isolde and Isolde.
Isolde, yeah.
Those helped. Yeah, I like my classical music, so
Yeah.
again helped by that a bit of luck again.
Yeah. And the Godins did get in occasionally, but then they also negged, and then it just kind of.
But in their position, they've got
to go.
They've got to go for it,
Yeah.
and I respect that. You know, just going for it regardless, because it's the only way you're gonna. You know, at that point, as I say, it was, you know, I never in my wildest dreams, as you say, did I think we'd have 25 points after a wall. That was
amazing.
Mad.
Well, it was a tremendous performance, and it's a performance that that is going to yield your team a nomination for Quiz Team of the Week. So very strong performance. On that note, we probably ought to just very quickly break for Quiz Week so I can do updates on the news from the quiz world. So I'll pop you all off stream, then I'll bring you back on in a few minutes. So don't go anywhere. But yeah, and then we'll conclude and we'll run through the exciting University Challenge match. See you in a minute. Okay, so let me just change the perspective there. So yes, welcome to Quiz Week, and it's been a really interesting week in the world of quiz. I mentioned earlier, it was so great to meet people at the OQL Buzzer Quiz. Thanks to everybody who said hi and said nice things about all things quiz. It was a tremendous tournament. It wasn't the only tournament of the weekend. There was also the Quiz Olympiad, the second Quiz Olympiad in Krakow. We'll talk about that in a second, but let's just run through a little bit of updates. The winner of last week's Quiz of the Week was Scott Blish, who got a monster score in the International Culture Challenge. Second was Dean Vaz, and third was the winner of Brain of Britain, Carl Whelan. Team of the Week, first was Hornets Rest, second was Boys to Menahoon, and third was Oxford A. So congratulations to them. We'll be releasing the latest vote tonight, just after the show. Sand, if you want to nominate anybody for a performance as quizzer or team, starting from this evening through to next Monday, you can do so at tinyurl.com/ATQ nominations. And we have our What is the Question competition. We released the answer cold on Sunday, and the winner was Ross Taylor's question: if Rangers and Celtic comprise the old firm, what firm designation have the press used to describe the derby between Ross County and their local rivals Inverness, Caledonian Thistle? A little bit of debate about whether Ross County are the most northerly team in Scotland, but that didn't matter. That was the winning question as voted for by you. The latest question, answer in need of a question, is clip, and you can now vote from the long list at tinyurl.com/WITQ clip. And we will then whittle that down and put out another vote on Wednesday for the winner. There's a video that came out today of the final of the OQL Buzzer Quiz, which was yesterday and was Saturday, and was an absolutely tremendous match. Really, really close. It's on our channel. Watch it if you haven't already watched it. It's fantastic quizzing at the highest order between the Quiz Bowl Cabal and the Jeff Maltby fan club. So that's up there. And also don't forget that Elimination, the second in our pop culture quiz omnium, is also live. That's a cracking video with some great pop culture quizzing. And I think just a reminder to like our videos and subscribe to the channel. If you want to support us, we don't ask for any money. We just ask that you kind of show a little bit of support if you would like to, which then helps other people find us, because YouTube's algorithm recommends people channels and videos that people like and channels that people follow. So please do that if you possibly can. So going to move on to the news. And I talked about the Olympiad in Krakow, and the winners of the National Team Championship were Belgium. They beat Estonia in the final. Congratulations to them. They get a nomination. The individual competition was won by Mark Henry of Ireland, who beat the reigning world champion Ronnie Swiggers on a tiebreak. So Mark gets a nomination. Ronnie came away with gold in the pairs with Tero Kalialevo of Finland. They get a nomination in the team. Dow Jackson of the UK got 2 golds in specialist events and won the under 30 individual competition, so he gets a nomination. And Tom Troch of Belgium won the specialist pentathlon. He gets a nomination. There were lots of other winners of specialist quizzes and other quizzes over the course of the event, but these were some of the highlights and they get nominations. Check out the Quiz Olympiad website if you want to see the full results. In the OQL buzzer competition, so spoiler, if you don't want to know the result and want to watch the video, then look away now. The winner was Quiz Bowl Cabal. They beat the Jeff Maltby fan club in an absolutely thrilling final. And when I say thrilling, I'm not over-egging this. It was tremendous. They get a team nomination. An individual nomination goes to Sean Webb, who had a phenomenal number of starters. We were awaiting confirmation of whether he won the kind of best player of the tournament accolade. We're pretty sure he did. In the morning, he was getting at least half of the starters in pretty much every game, and he led his team 30 questions to Mars to the semi-finals. He was phenomenal. He gets a nomination. In Online Quiz League this week, there were no full houses, but Evan Lynch, Troy Meyer, Michael Penrice, and Alex Wonsowski got 7 twos, and they get nominations. And a team nomination goes to Lovecraft in the Time of Cholera for a stunning win against Team Good at E. In the International Culture Challenge, it was a tough week, but 4 players scored 13 out of 15 on their own questions. They are Shane Whitlock, Ronnie Gupta, Billy Bayer, and Tracy Merkin. Nominations go to them. In Quiz League London, there were full houses for Gavin Fuller and Oliver Levy. They get nominations. And a team nomination goes to bottom of Division 2, Jan, who beat high-flying Atletico. In the Irish Quiz League, with 63 points, O'Gravitons easily notched the top score of the week and get a nomination. And in OQL USA, it was a low-scoring week, but Martin Ocon gets a nomination for his 26-7. We don't have any news this week from Mimirswell and QB League. We'll try and update next week. And you saw tonight, Mastermind, Rachael Neiman-Wiseman won Mastermind's heat. The Ramblers won OC on 33 points. And on University Challenge, Edinburgh won a very, very tight affair. So we'll just flip back to the presentation to give you a rundown of all those nominations once more. So for Quizzer of the Week, it's Gavin Fuller, Mark Henry, Dow Jackson, Oliver Levy, Evan Lynch, Troy Meyer, Martin Ocon, Michael Penrice, Tom Troch, Sean Webb, and Alex Wonsowski. And for Team of the Week, Belgium, Jan, Lovecraft and the Time of Collar, O'Gravitons, Quiz Bowl Cabal, Ramblers, and Ronnie Sviggers and Tero Kalialevo. You can vote until Sunday at 8 p.m. and vote is now live at tinyurl.com/QW15nov. That's tinyurl.com/QW15nov. And we'll put the links in the video description straight after the show finishes. I think that is it. So we will now get back to your regular programming and welcome back onto the stream, possibly in the same order as last time, but who knows? Rachel, Anna, Sam, and Steve. Oh, you're in different places. Oh, that is confusing. Oh, I don't know where to look anymore. How weird. Claire's saying, sorry we didn't get to chat on Saturday, but what a busy days. Claire was one of the readers, and at any quiz event, question writers, readers, verifiers, you know, they are the lifeblood of events. Claire did that all day reading. I stood in on one of the games and she did a fantastic job. So on behalf of everybody who played, thank you to Claire and the team behind that event. It was absolutely brilliant. Were any of you there? I mean, I've lost track of whether anyone was there.
I played you in the morning.
We played you, didn't we?
Yeah.
You were wearing... But the thing was,
yes.
in my defence, you were wearing masks.
Yes, yes, very true.
Which I thought was about. Oh, Anna's done a private Belgian woo. I just noticed. But yes, sorry. I digress. Yeah, you were all wearing masks, and I was, you know, when I was talking about emailing you or messaging you earlier, I was thinking, I think you played against us, but of course. Yeah. Names were not given out, and you were wearing these masks, which I thought was frightfully safe of you, whilst the rest of us were being cavalier.
See, I work in a school. You don't want to be passing on whatever's in there.
But it was a cracking game. That one could have gone either way. That was very entertaining.
Yeah, it was quite close, but it was good fun.
It was.
Yes,
it was
really good fun.
It was nice to win. What was it like to lose, Steve? You know.
Well, wasn't the best, but yeah, no, we were beaten by a better team. I think that, you know, at the end of the day, we did what we could. But yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was,
well, I mean, the payoff was we ended up in the top bracket and got smashed the entire
yeah, see, that's
afternoon.
it. We had a lovely afternoon in the middle bracket.
Anyway, I digress. University challenge. We started off. We mentioned at the start that, you know, Edinburgh got off to a flyer. They got the first 4 starters on Twitter, because I didn't know how this panned out. And I said, you know, put on Twitter, you know, Bristol are going to want to get in there because this could very quickly run away. And thankfully, you did, and you got a couple of buzzes. But, you know, is there a feeling? Because I mean, I know Ben Russell-Jones, because I play with him on QB League. He's phenomenally good. Is there a feeling there of, oh my God, I just can't get in? You know, I know stuff, but I can't get in.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically, yeah. I mean, I think, you know, Jeremy Paxman did say it best when he said palpable relief when Sam buzzed in with Goose or Geese or whatever. Yeah. And so I never got there in the end. It was quite frustrating for me because after getting that first one wrong, I sort of knew Pride and Prejudice, and then obviously got outbuzzed there, and then I just sort of had to get myself together a bit to get back into the game, and Sam definitely helped, you know.
Well, thank you. I mean, you helped too.
I have to say, you know, because it is tricky to kind of you know, recover from these things sometimes. Your fetch for honey, Anna, was really you dragged that. Where the hell did you drag that from?
God. It was a very convoluted process. I just sort of thought, hang on, that Radiohead album is something to do with sugar, honeycomb, and then I just said, oh, Pablo Honey, and then just I didn't get it based on anything highbrow like the taste of honey, but you know, that's, you know, how it goes.
But it was great because, you know, there was, it must have been close to him just calling time on that question. And you just fetched it out, which, you know, at that stage of the game was quite important, really, that you needed to be getting buzzes. And Sam, your buzz on iron. Wow.
Yeah,
I
was
wow.
kind of... Well, it helps.
Just lost
It helps that my personal tutor all through uni may have studied meteorites a little bit. Because it was just like, okay, we'll name an element. Meteorites. Okay, so it's got to be iron then.
But he did say in the question, I think it was like, there are 3 types.
Yeah, stony,
and you
stony,
named
iron,
one,
and iron.
so you were guessing between 2, weren't you, basically?
No, it was
all right.
definitely iron. Stony, iron, and iron. Those are the 3 groups. Just so
well, I was
weird
impressed.
Amount of meteorite knowledge.
Yeah, I have very little meteorite knowledge, as you must have realised by now. It's something I'll work on. There was a lovely, kind of related to that, then I guess, because it might explain why in the astronomy bonuses, when you were looking for the answer Antares, and you were going, "Oh God, I should know this."
Wait, give me a second. I need to find a prop.
We don't often have props. This is very exciting.
Yeah.
Tensions building now. There we
go.
Star map.
Oh wow!
A star map I drew
That's so
myself
interesting.
to realize
I drew it.
Oh my God!
Came in clutch.
Was this
answers? I wouldn't have known otherwise. It was just studying the star map.
Wow, was that hand drawn from observation, or was that just copying from something?
That was hand drawn, copying from an actual star map I have somewhere else.
Wow!
Wow.
So when you said, "Oh God, I should know this," yeah,
I've studied all of the major stars of the major constellations, part of making that freaking map. I got creative with my revision.
There were.
That's anything I did.
I don't think we can avoid talking about the opera bonuses.
Ooh,
where
yeah.
you kind of danced all around all of the right answers one way or another, didn't you? It's like,
yeah. I mean,
I'm sorry,
it's funny
Anna.
because they. It's not your fault. Don't worry about it. I mean, I was right about Ida. That's all I got in the end. So, but it's quite funny because like they edited this out. But I was saying at the beginning after you said this was recorded by the In Time Price, it's like, oh great, this is one of my favorite Sopranos. And then obviously, I just thought the first one sounded familiar. The last thing I listened to with the In Time Price was Aida. So I said Aida, and then the next one definitely was Aida because I recognised the march. But then by that stage, I just wasn't confident. So then Puccini, I'm not a big Puccini fan, I have to say. So it was just like, choose a Puccini opera. But yeah, it was just a bit, oh well.
Because it was interesting.
Watching that one back, yeah.
I noticed the reaction when it was said this is more, by Leon Time Price, and it was like, I don't understand quite what that reaction was, but it was clearly that thing they edited out then, which was you saying it was your favorite, which that was very kind of them, I guess.
Yeah, thank you.
But there's that other kind edit as well with Walpole.
Oh yeah.
On the Prime Minister's. Yeah.
We said Walpole first, then there was like just a long gap, so we thought they wanted more. So Seb went out with the wrong Walpole. Went out with Horace.
Okay.
Which was a bit brutal, seeing as our first
successfully protested and said, the first answer was Walpole.
Yeah.
But that's
and you would have
another
awarded
one.
it. So
well, I should have been more confident because I did say Pelham at some stage, and then I just didn't fight it when we started saying Pitt the Elder, which I was supposed to be revising the Prime Minister as well. So it's just my bad, really.
I mean, the margin at the end was so tight. I mean, to what degree do you or have you beaten yourselves up over what you might have said or didn't? Or have you been much more philosophical of whatever you do in the heat of battle is what happens?
I mean, after the initial minute afterwards, I just started shouting Pelham Aida at my team. I mean, I just sort of just calmed down and say, well, I've had a nice time, so it doesn't really matter in the end. So I mean, it would have been nice to get to the quarterfinals, and we were told afterwards that it was a kind of a tough matchup, and maybe we should have been given a slightly easier team going into the second round. But it's just the way it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's the cruelty of the second round of University Challenge, though, isn't it? I mean, speaking of who was also knocked out in that round, I mean, you came a lot closer to getting through to the quarters than we did, but to be so close and that's it, you don't get another shot.
Frustrating.
Frustrating. And because we said it before, or I said it before, Ben got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 starters. I mean, he's just phenomenal. When you come up against a player who is in that sort of form across a spread of topics, it takes something to really kind of to overcome that, because his teammates only needed to chip in with the odd thing. But on the other hand, Sam, you got 5. So
I thought it was 4. There you go.
Goose, Copenhagen, Carmen, Iron, and
Copenhagen. Forgot about Copenhagen.
So so that that's not bad. So your team kind of did likewise. Chipped in. It was a decent performance, and 5 points kind of shows that there wasn't much in it. Sorry, I had to harp on about it.
Reliving it every day.
Being added.
But no, it was a great performance. I mean, at the end of the day, your emotions watching it back, are they kind of are they mixed, or is it pride, or is what do you feel when you're watching it tonight?
I thought that I would just curl up into the fetal position by the end of it, but no. At the end of the day, I kind of just rehash this over and over again, 4 months now. So I guess I wasn't going to learn anything new, no new things that I could cringe at. So I guess I just sort of watched it and said, oh well, that was bad, but you know, we passed that.
So I think I've had the best time coming out the other end out of all of us, given that I got some nice buzzes. So I just rested on the nice buzzes and went,
Yeah, yeah.
I did my
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
I had my Shangri-Las. I
Regardless.
had my yeah.
Steve, you said you didn't make it to the quarters either. I mean, were you
Yeah.
left with regrets, or is it kind of?
No regrets on my part. It was obviously bitter pill to swallow. So I mean, a bit of a backstory. I applied for University Challenge many times. It took me about 6 attempts to actually get on the show. So you know, and you know, we've got to the first round. That was great, and then we got to the second round, and then that was it. It was just all over in just a sudden moment. All that stuff that you kind of been building up for so long, and yeah, in that initial kind of period afterwards, it was just like, oh. No, that was. But looking at the score line, we were just completely outclassed by a very strong Durham team, very lovely Durham team on the day. So there was nothing we could do
Likewise,
about
you
that.
know, no hard feelings to Edinburgh as well, because
No, absolutely not.
Ben is lovely and the whole team is great. So yeah.
And Rachel, how far did you get on UC?
We got to the semi-finals. We lost to a very strong Emmanuel side that with Alex Guttenclan and Jenny Harris, and they were both excellent, you know. So yeah, we never had it. I mean, you know, we got through the quarters, we got to the semi-final, but when we realised we were up against them, we didn't hold a great deal of hope of getting to the final. But you know, we had a good run.
Yeah,
I think it was. They were such a good team. They were such a strong team, and they'd outplayed every team along the way. You know, we'd watch them destroy team after team, so we knew we wouldn't be able to do much. It's, you know, some teams are just a force of nature. And you can't do a great deal. It was an honour to be knocked out by them.
they were one of the great teams, definitely. Were there any key moments for you, Sam and Anna, tonight? Any particular buzzes or questions that you really liked?
I'm forever feeling the energy in Roger Tilling's voice on my sort of last buzz that got us just over the edge and then not. But like that level of sort of fear, and then I was struck with the same, just like, but what if they're not ants? What if I'm wrong? What if the Ants Canada Ant Keeping channel on YouTube lied to me?
Wouldn't that be a terrible thing?
I know, right?
Anna, any highlights for you from?
Yeah, I mean, my favourite one was the John Wyndham question, the Midwich cuckoos. Even though, again, I pronounced that incorrectly. But yeah, obviously I'm not a true sci-fi fan because I didn't get that Ursula Le Guin one. But you know, that's the way it goes. But yeah, anything else? There's something earlier on in the game which I'm trying to remember. But yeah, I was a bit bummed we didn't get the Shakespeare bonuses, but yeah.
And they had those the picture non-picture round again of the translations, which real advantage if you could speak German or whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have our German, and you know, between us, me and Sam have some pretty solid Shakespeare knowledge, so yeah, so that's fun.
I don't actually. You have far more solid Shakespeare knowledge than me.
My dad's just texted me saying that he was very disappointed that I didn't get Mo in Ali, but you know, he seems to skewing that one.
Oh well, you know, it's nice to have support like that, eh? It is quite a common thing, though. I think when you've been on telly on a quiz, and it doesn't matter how well you've done, there will always be somebody say, "I can't believe you didn't get that. I got that, and I'm not anywhere near as good as you."
Yeah,
it always happens.
I'm so guilty of doing that, and I do not know why. I just because we were quizzing earlier, it's like, how did you not get Telemann?
Oh god, yeah. I think we've established that my Baroque knowledge isn't, you know, that good at this stage, but yeah.
What's this? I quite what's Gerald say? I quite enjoyed the Edinburgh team discussing diagnosing the body with little mallets. Oh yes, that was the speculum.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and stethoscope. They really worked their way to that one.
I mean,
Yeah.
Was that when
Wasn't
Paxton
that
said he was glad they weren't got?
Yeah.
You made a comment of it.
Rachel, Steve, and from your perspective, what stood out to you from University Challenge? One of many, we've had a lot of really close games this series, but what stood out to you?
After you, Rachel.
Well, obviously it was a nail biting match. Just the some of the amazing buzzes, really. I mean, I kind of so glad that it seems to get more difficult every year. University Challenge, so like, feel kind of, and I think as well, there's so much skill involved in every time I watch it. There's so much skill involved in knowing when to buzz and all that sort of thing. I think people at home perhaps don't realise that that's an extra skill as well, knowing the questions. And there was some really good judicious buzzing tonight, I thought.
Yeah,
taking a slight risk, before you're absolutely sure, but just you've got to get there before the other team, so you have to take a bit of a risk. And I think there was plenty of risk taking, I think, tonight, which was always exciting.
Steve, how about you?
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, that I think that is the biggest thing that stood out. I mean, normally I watch University Challenge and I follow along, and I'm getting a lot of the starter questions before the teams, in the comfort of my own home without the pressure. I'm watching it today, and they're getting it before me in the studio under this pressure, and it was an immense clash between the two teams, and how quickly the starter questions were going is just testament to how strong both teams were. They would have both been very worthy winners. It was a very entertaining game, some brilliant knowledge on display, and both teams seemed like they were having fun. Well, both having fun and stressing quite a lot simultaneously, which is that's quizzing, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a really, really enjoyable game.
Okay, brilliant. So it's that point of the evening where I ask you what your champagne moment of the night might have been. And this can be a question, it can be a comment, it could be a moment, it could be a bit of gameplay, it could be absolutely anything. It can be something you did or something somebody else did. It's entirely up to you. But what was that moment that, you just thought that was peak Quizzy Monday, 15th of November? Sam, I'll throw that at you.
Don't put me under the front. I couldn't think of one last time. Oh, goodness. Pass. I'll come back to it later.
We'll
Tell
come
me the
back
answer at the end of the set.
Okay.
Go on,
I'd
Anna.
say mine is Sam's buzz that put us, in the lead for that brief moment in time, and the thought of what could have been. But yeah, that's my champagne moment.
Yeah, that moment in the sun. Steve, how about you?
I think for me, it's got to be moments before the wall when we're on 15 compared to 1 last time. I think it's just that sheer contrast in fortunes. I think for me, because you know how these things are filmed, they're filmed quite close in succession. So there was a lot of emotions, and I think for us just to come out of that, because we all just kind of looked at each other and we're like, what happened there? Did we just do that? Did that happen? So I think for us, I think that's what mine would be.
Okay, Rachel.
Gosh, it's hard, isn't it? Which I'd choose it there. I can't really pick a moment from Mastermind, so I think I'll go with the music sequence on Only Connect, which was great because it involved you spontaneously singing rather than having to be prompted to sing, which is always exciting. And it was all pop, and they didn't throw a bit of classical music in that I couldn't. So that was as a complete Philistine. I appreciate a pure pop series of Only Connect clues.
Very modest of you not to pick the moment he said you got 23 points and had won, Rachel. So because I'd be reveling in that. And Sam, have you had time to consider?
I've had time to. It's a tiny moment, but just Lorna from the Ramblers getting that days, months, letters thing. So I was just staring at, just like, oh, it really is that simple. If you're as
Wow.
smart as Lorna.
Welcome to Only Connect. I mean, it was like the one we had a few weeks ago. It was just number of figures in the painting going down from 4 to 1. You know, the rest of the time you're looking at it thinking, wow, this has got to be something really
How are
confusing.
these artists linked?
And it's just no.
What about the figures in the painting? No, it's
Yeah.
just a number.
That's the problem with Only Connect. You sometimes overcomplicate it because you think it's going to be it's going to be something impossible.
That's it. Too many different things.
I think for me, I think it was the Lloyd Dolly Cohen Enoch one. I just like that. That appealed to me. Although the Bagpuss one appeals to the kind of 10-year-old me. That does, because that soppy old cloth cat, or saggy as it said here. So that was good, but it was a good night. For me, it was a really entertaining, hard-fought Mastermind, a superb performance by the Ramblers in Only Connect, which, that's the sort of performance that makes people talk about you as potential season champions, Steve. So your card could get marked by that. But we know we've got some other great teams to see in this round. But no, still, nonetheless, the sort of performance that makes people take notice. And then Bristol, I mean, you went out, but you went out all guns blazing. You played well.
I've got to go out in a close match.
Simultaneously, the best way and the worst way to go out.
It is, but you can go out with your heads held high. You both entertained and impressed with your quizzing. So it was a great night. So we will bring this to a close. I'd just like to thank everybody who's watched and commented. I know there's lots of stuff been going on in the chat. And thank our guests, Rachel, Anna, Steve, and Sam. Don't forget that Lunchtime Quiz Time goes on every day on Twitter between 12 and 2. Don't forget to vote for Quiz of the Week, Quiz Team of the Week, and also in What is the Question. And we'll be putting out a new answer in need of a question on Sunday. But until next week, thanks again to the guests, and hang on just for a few moments after the stream closes, guys, so I can say a proper goodbye. But as for the rest of you, we will see you next week on Quizzy Monday, when our guests will be, I don't know, because I don't know who's on next week, because the BBC won't tell us in advance. So I don't know what's going on about that, why they won't tell you what teams are on. So I'm going to have to kind of find out. I've got my agent, Michael Cohen, working on it, desperately trying to find out who's playing when. But anyway, we will have guests. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with me talking for an hour, and nobody wants that. So, till next week, thanks for watching, and we will see you again next week on Quizzy Monday. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.